Alright everyone, here are 8 more things we need in F124 career mode. If you missed the previous episodes, I recommend you go and check those out in addition to seeing this one. But first of all, I'm going to start with some of your suggestions and include those in this video. And well, one thing that was mentioned a lot, F3. ORT Racing comment. I've already talked about classic cars, high member of staff, cutscenes, which you'll see a few snippets from F1 2017 on screen now, and what I mean about that background there. Create your own engine in my team. I'm going to come back to that. In the R&D episode. For Drive Career, play as a test driver in your F2s before Season 1. Absolutely. If you want to play as a test driver, why not? That was F1 2006 had that. You had to actually get this. You had to test drive before getting the option of a contract from the team. The other thing, obviously, is the young driver test with that, because obviously that was a thing back in F1, the earlier F1 games. You actually got a limited amount of teams as well. So yeah, young driver test / test driver, maybe difficult because there is that 3 scenario F2 mode, which I think is still in the game from F1 2019, where it was actually a story mode. That's sort of the precursor to Breaking Point there. Get the supercars out of the game, how we all wish to that as well. But F3, you guys as well, it wasn't just RT Racing, the store as well, also asking about that. And then also, definitely not Nick as well. So I think I have had backlash before when I suggested F3, but yeah, there needs to be something in the game. And the advantage of having Formula 3 in the game, and I know this isn't necessarily career mode, but Formula 3 has 30 cars on the grid. Obviously you want to be able to have online races, 30 car lobbies. Imagine the carnage. 30 drive. I mean, it's carnage enough now when you have 20 drivers in the same lobby. Imagine having 30. Just think about that. I'll come back to that in a later episode about multiplayer as well. Number 2, by the way, this is a fantastic suggestion by Buster Brooks. As well, having your ability to talk to engineer during practice sessions like MotoGP games, the ability to say whether cars feel weak, e.g. low traction on corner X or understeer, just oversteer on corner entry and exit, haven't changed the setup to suit. This would A, make it more like real life, and B, make setups easier for newer players. Now, obviously, do we want the setup to be changed? Perhaps, maybe you'd have to do another race run on that. Would you be happy doing that in practice? Obviously, we've still got quick practice as well. And that's sort of my third bit as well, is about improving the practice programs, because, yes, they did some stuff with the UI, a few things, a few games ago. I think it was F1 22 where they changed the UI of it so that it was more like a hot map when you did your second lap of the run. But once you did your first lap, it was pretty pointless. One thing I do think that obviously the practice programs themselves, other than that UI, hasn't changed since F1 20s. I want to say F1. I know they were introduced. I think it was F1 2018. Don't quote me on that, please. But yeah, whenever the practice programs were introduced to the F1 game, or it might be earlier than that, might be in F1 2017. We'll have to look that up. But yes, definitely having that as an option and makes setups easier for new players, because I think it was the USA one. It was the USA Pro Challenge, and Codemasters actually released a setup for COTA made by Marcel Kiefer, because so many people were having problems with it. So yeah, that would be fantastic. I don't play the MotoGP. I played the MotoGP games once, so I don't actually know. I haven't actually. Maybe I need to go and play that. I did say I was going to play that for the weather. So yeah, let me know in the comments below if you'd watch that video, because it is going to be a bit expensive to make that one sole video. Number 2, not being able to select upgrades specifically. Just have engineers meeting to attend after each weekend and give feedback on whether the car needs improving, and then the AI goes on upgrade path to suit, but only when you have the client claim you, then your teammate. Otherwise, you can't have any input. I kind of feel like they need to have some input on it. You know, Perez is going to have some input, although I think that's probably going to be more setup than upgrades. Again, this goes back to what I was saying last time out about contracts. If you are the first team driver, if you've got equal status, then obviously that's where you balance the books. Whereas if you're second driver, then you've got to expect that thing. But having that cutscene, and again, I go back to Breaking Point, where there's that cutscene where they're all in the meeting room. Having that cutscene, and I'm not saying the thing with cutscenes, not having them every time, but sprinkle them in. We want to see a variety, keep the game fresh. That's what makes that's what makes everyone come back to the game. Right, number 4, other drivers available in season 1 on my team. And I mean, the problem is that a new team to Formula 1, and again, I talked about this last time out, with sponsors, and basically, the thing is that with other drivers, you're not a new team isn't necessarily gonna hire an F2 teammate, an F2 driver. Have the option of pinching another driver. I think that a lot of people with their My Team career mode dump the F2 teammates at the earliest opportunity. Having potentially even the My Team icons available at the start, and then free agents. Having Daniel Ricciardo, Nick De Vries, Kimi. I'm just thinking of other people who've just recently retired or left. Mick Schumacher, he's still racing. Have him as a free agent in the game. It's something that I feel F1 Manager has over F1, is the fact that everyone is available. Yes, that game doesn't have a My Team yet, and I say yet because that's probably something they're probably working on at some point. I don't think and I'm going to cover graphics in another video, by the way, and just general gameplay, but I don't think, off the top of my head, I don't think they're on Unreal Engine 5 yet, which is obviously interesting. We'll come back to that in another video. As well, and then obviously it goes to better driver transfers, because my goodness, I'm not going to spoil it for season 3, but let's just say that there weren't that many. There needs to be a little bit more. Arava was obviously suggested in his videos previously that we had a slider for it, and I quite agree. If obviously I think they've probably got the right amount of races for renewing your contract, although I think you'd like to see your My Team teammate renew for a certain amount of races, or even seasons, because that's more realistic with the contract situation. Being able to offer that as well in driver career mode would be good. If you want to do a 10-year stint at one team and sign a 10-year contract, I mean, they might probably say no, but I mean, there we go. But yeah, driver transfers has been useless since F1 2020, and obviously, if you're wondering how people like Arif get about it, they use a mod that in driver career mode I can't use because it messes the game up when I move teams as well, so that's why. number 6, sporting regulation change. I talked about this one last year. It's very much a my team one, but having a different set of rules. Even voting on calendar. So I'll come back to calendar in a moment. But maybe different qualifying formats. I've talked about even the elimination format, how many sprints are going to be, because that's a big talking point at the moment. How many sprints are going to be in a season? What's the points difference going to be like? Having that vote will be a world of good. Having that change, difference between career modes, probably, freshen it up and, I'm going to play this season because they've got this different challenge. We've got less points available. Stuff like that. We've got so many point systems that they've used over the years. Just import them all in a spreadsheet. Surely it can't be that hard to implement something like that. And yeah, well, as I say, I'm not going to touch on graphics, but I think it's a lame excuse really for them. Talking about sprint, obviously we don't actually have the sprint shootout as part of F1 23. It's not there. And I think that custom calendar is something I'm going to talk about because it's a mod available again, which is another one I don't use, but it's available where people can customize the calendar. Obviously console players can't do any of this because, for starters, because of mods basically, but there is a mod that you rearrange the calendar. Why is this not possible to change the order, especially after they've introduced DLC tracks? Portugal is in such a stupid position in the default calendar. It's between Brazil and Las Vegas. So if you want Portugal in your career mode, and if you've got Las Vegas, Abu Dhabi, USA and Mexico, that's 6 race weekends in a row. I'm not joking. That is 6 race weekends back to back in a row. Now obviously, apart from the fact that would never happen in a row in real life, the fact of the matter is that it's bad for recurring R&D points because it means you can't get the upgrades on in time, and it means that if you are trying to catch up towards the end of the season, those last 6 races you're going to suffer and trying to get upgrades unless you rush them, which obviously increases the chance with fail. And the final one is one that was suggested last year, and that's create your own test track. Obviously we've had about testing if you're in driver career mode earlier in the video, and well really as well basically create your own test track. Why not? If not, they need to introduce test sessions at least at places like Mugello for driver career mode. But imagine the fun you'd get out of creating your own test track in my team career mode. I definitely enjoyed that one. So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it for today's episode. If you have enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and you see plenty more F124 career mode videos. Let me know if you've got any ideas yourself. The next episode will be on R&D and the HQ as well. So if you've got any specific things you want to see about that, then let me know in the comments below. If you are new around here though, then please do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. Until the next video then, I'll see you next time. Take care, enjoy your day, and goodbye.